Welcome to Beyond County Lines. Today we're speaking with Santa Fe County Assessor Isaiah Romero and Chief Deputy Assessor Ivan Berry. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well, doing well. We were talking earlier how it's getting warmer. We have more daylight. However, the allergies are coming, right, and the winds are coming.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it, right? I'll take the warm weather.
Yeah,
For sure.
This is the confusing part of the year where you have to wear a coat in the morning, and then by the time you get to work, it's almost like summertime where it's nice and warm.
You better have your allergy pills handy.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true.
My first question to you is: it's been a year as assessor. How's that going?
Yeah, Ivan and I talk about this all the time when we're strategizing or going over things on the weekend, or it just feels like it never stops, right? And we're so passionate, and I'm kind of one of those guys that gets obsessed about things, right? I can't just jump into something halfway or a little, 20%. When I jump in, I go in 100%, and very passionate about what we do. And every day has felt like a sprint. And every day the sprint hasn't been, oh, we need to catch up. What does the assessor's office do? Like many assessors may have to do, or new assessors, I'm sorry. We knew it needed to be done. And, a lot of that credit goes to the staff. The staff came in to our offices, or we invited them to our offices our first month and said, hey, what do you guys want to see? What do you guys think needs to happen? What goals do you guys have? And we, incorporated that into our goals. And every day we've been sprinting, to attain and reach those goals. Ivan, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically the same as Isaiah was saying. There's a lot that happens within the office. There's a lot of times that we're having discussions after the day. So it really doesn't end. It's hard to tell when the days end and begin because there's so much to do. There's so much going on within the office. So, it's a constant run. It does feel like that.
And if I understand correctly, you all had also worked at the assessor's office for many years. So when you say it's like a run or a sprint, you guys are all training.
Yes.
Right? All year round. And so I hope sometime today, too, we can talk a little bit about what you're gearing up for this summer.
Yeah.
And as you are runners or trainers, if we want to stick with that metaphor, what can we also look forward to this summer?
Yeah, thinking about training and 23 years in the office, there aren't too many things that I haven't seen, right? If I have to say some of my weaknesses are, the GIS group, I could learn a little more about that, and I am learning more about that. Our systems on how they operate and how they speak to each other, right? Sometimes I'm not able to do that myself, right? And we rely on many people within the office, but I'm starting to understand a lot of that more in depth. But we were saying, we've been sprinting so much that it's good that Ivan was coaching basketball this year. My son does soccer, so we need those things to just get our mind away sometimes. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Like he's saying, there's so much to be done, and it's a constant. That there was a good thing that came out of being distracted and being a coach and helping the kids, and then also seeing how a lot of what I'm doing by coaching is applicable in our office as well. Things like Isaiah is big on getting back to basics, and we've talked about that before. Like coaching boys basketball, it wasn't about, hey, let's start running plays and stuff. It's like let's really work on our dribbling, guys. Let's work on our passing and our shooting. So if we could get those three things really good, we'll be a lot further along than if we're trying to prematurely run plays and it's like they're not even exactly catching the fundamentals.
Right.
And working on that, I think it was Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't know, one of these great coaches out of England, Manchester. I've never played soccer, but my son does, so I was able to go from the ground up in learning that sport, and it was good for my leadership training as well, because I'm listening to these guys' hypotheses and ideas of building someone, right, and building a team. And what he was saying on building a player is you start from the bottom up, right? From age 1 to 13, you're building the technique, the fundamentals. And I think that's what we've come back to the office to do. Is our office has been a successful office. However, we wanted to go back and say, okay, have we tightened the screws back there?
Right.
Did we go back there and make sure we're still addressing these issues? And I feel like our office has gone back to ground one and started to work on those fundamentals to make sure, hey, those who are requesting an agricultural application, do we have an application on file? Do we have one for every single account? and that's the work that we've been working on.
So just to provide some clarification to anybody that's listening or watching, I introduced you as the assessor's office, but what is that? What is the assessor's
good.
office?
Yeah, what do you guys do?
Oh, yeah.
For maybe people who aren't as familiar. Yes.
Yeah. So what we do is we list all property within Santa Fe County for tax purposes. And some people will say, okay, what is that property? Well, it can be vacant land. It can be an improved property. But it can also be agricultural, like, cows, and lambs and things of that nature. But we also value. And we value those parcels, and we value that property, and we value it. So, in essence, the result would be that you pay property tax. And we have to value at market value, right? And there's many stipulations or legislation that has taken place that keeps us from going to full market value. We could talk a little bit about those later on. But anything else on that, Ivan?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, we're at the end of the day, if it's a one sentence thing, we determine property value for all properties within Santa Fe County.
And the assessor's office does not set tax rates or collect taxes, right? So that's always the confusion that I hear going around the county.
Yeah, because no one really, I wouldn't say no one, but many people respond when they receive a tax bill, right? And and when they receive their tax bill, they call our office, and that is the response that we give them, is that, hey, we handle one portion of that, or the beginning process of that, and that is setting the valuation for a property. And then there's the other portion, right, is the budgets for that certain area. So you have your value, your budgets, and in essence, again, that'll create what you would pay in taxes.
And the office of the treasurer will levy those taxes.
Exactly.
Right? You guys are just setting, the assessed value of the property.
Exactly. And the tax bills come out of the treasurer's office, and we send out the one thing out of the year, right, is the notice of value.
So that means you guys are also looking at market rates, right? You're looking at the economy,
Right.
how that's impacting residential. Does that also include commercial property in the county?
So we do value commercial, and I'd rather actually let Isaiah talk about this because he was the former commercial chief, so he has a little bit more insight. We are trying to get legislation passed to be able to get sales affidavits for commercial properties or non-residential properties, but I'll let Isaiah talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So there are three approaches to value in valuing property, right? And when I was a kid, I used to like to watch the Antique Roadshow or all these shows about antiques. And I don't know why, I just really loved it. And what they would say is, well, this one painting is worth X amount because the last ones that sold at auction sold for X amount, right? So really what they were doing there is the sales comparison approach, where you have sales of similar properties, right? And you make adjustments to make it more similar to the property that you're valuing. That would be called the sales comparison approach. The cost approach will be pretty much getting the cost of the land, and you would do the sales comparison approach for the land. But then for the building, for the improvement itself, it's the cost to construct, right? The sticks, the bricks, everything, the concrete that it costs to essentially build that building minus depreciation, right? Because every building within Santa Fe County isn't at 100% new or brand new. Yeah. And then the third approach is the income approach. And the income approach is, a property's ability to make an income. Based on its income, you could capitalize that to come up with a value. And, hotels are valued that way. Other, like retail centers are valued that way. And it is true, we do value commercial properties, and commercial property is a little more difficult to value because you do include that third approach more often than not, where sales comparison, more times than not, you'll run a cost and you'll run a sales comparison because you have enough sales information to come up with a correct value or get to a close scope that you're happy with. With the commercial property, I'm sorry, there's those allergies again. I'm sorry again, you at home. But with the commercial properties, we do not receive sales information in the state of New Mexico because you don't have to give us the sales information for commercial property. However, you have to give us the residential sales information in the form of an affidavit. So that's something we've been working with the legislatures with to make it equal, right? Because we feel that our values for residential we're doing a good job. We're at market value. I feel like we're doing the best that we can with our commercial values right now. I would say that we search the world, right? We search the U.S., we search the web, we search everywhere to make sure we have good commercial information to run through approaches. But I think it would be that much better if we had the sales information. I remember being in a protest, right? And a protest is when someone appeals their value, they disagree with their value. And the taxpayer is sitting across from us, and we asked them, hey, did this sell last year, this hotel? They said, yeah, it sold. Okay, could we have the sales information? Because that would clear up a lot of what we're doing here today. Yeah. And they said, no, we would rather you not. So in those instances, I believe that to make a more equitable situation, more equitable, Santa Fe County, as far as in the form of property tax, we would love to have those commercial sales. If not, here's the truth. The truth is residential homes, they go up 3% per year, right? That's the 3% cap to the limitation to valuation, unless they sell their property or make any changes to the property. Commercial, we're not receiving the sales information. So maybe we're not at the heights that what it's selling at, right? So what happens is you have the brand new buyer who purchases a home, and they're valued at market value. Right. Well, the ones that have been in their home for quite some time, they're not at market value because they have the 3% limitation to value. Commercial, we're not receiving the commercial sales. So really, who's the one that's paying? Who's carrying a lot of the burden? It would be the first-time home buyers, right. The people that are buying homes for the first time. So Ivan was out there at the legislature. We were working with a lot of the senators and representatives. And you want to speak a little bit on that?
Before you do that, just so we can, I wanted to ask, you send out these notices of value. When do you send them out?
So typically we'll send out April 1st, on or around April 1st every year. This year we're actually sending out on May 1st or on or around May 1st. We requested a 30-day extension this year, and it was due to the fact that we've taken on some big projects this year. We've taken on short-term rentals. Right. We've implemented new workflows in the office. And then also we've been working with the property tax division and with the assessor's affiliate to actually reconstruct our notice of value to be more uniformed with the rest of the counties in the state of New Mexico. Wow. So we've taken on a bunch of new projects, and with that, we asked for an extension. So we'll be sending out on May 1st this year.
Not to mention, I'm not going to say it's your baby, Ivan. Not to mention your baby, Ivan, the new website, right?
Yeah, so we've been working also on rolling out a new website. It's going to carry everything that our current website has, but it's going to be a little bit cleaner, more user-friendly, and hopefully just a better experience for people.
Awesome. Do you have a day you're going to kick that off?
We don't. It's tentative. It's very soon. Before the notice of value goes out, you will have a new website.
So remember, everybody listening from home, constituents, that the notice of evaluation are going to be going out May 1st of 2024. And please visit the county assessor's website for more information as we approach the summer.
For sure.
What other information is on? I know you have your benefits and exemptions on there. Is there still an application? What did you change on it?
So,
out of curiosity.
So we've been asked in working with Property Tax Division to take off the statutes and a lot of the information that we had on the back of the notice of value. So the back has been completely wiped out. There's nothing on the back. Wow. Yeah. So what we'll have the values, everything on the front. So your the business or the owner's name, the information on the property. So the situs address, the legal. All of the values, and then at the bottom we still have, we did work, the assessor's affiliate worked really hard to maintain and keep the head of family and mailing address change tear off, because that's something that they wanted to remove, but we did actually work to keep that. So it did take a whole bunch of us, right? And I could let Isaiah talk a little bit more about that, as Isaiah is the vice chair of the assessor's affiliate. This was something that was super important to us as county assessors' offices around the state.
Wow.
Yeah, to me, the tear-off was really important because I know we're headed to in a direction where, there's these advancements, technological advancements, and, you can do everything on our website. We do have a website, and many people in our office have worked on our website, and there are many things available on our website. However, I'm old school. I'm the guy that still gets a paper check, right? So everyone else in the office gets direct deposit. Not everyone else, but there are 4 or 5 individuals that get a paper check. I'm one of them. I'm the one that likes to walk into the bank and.
Yeah, Isaiah. I don't know if you guys know about this. You obviously do, but Isaiah didn't have a smartphone until like 5 years ago or something.
Oh,
There.
yeah, about 8 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
8 years.
Oh my gosh.
Not even a smartphone, not a phone, not a cell phone.
Oh, that's right. Not a phone at all.
Not a cell phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So I love going into the bank. I love that I know the people that are in there. I love that I can remember the last conversation I had with them. I like the look that they have when you walk in, right? I mean, it's similar to going home, right? And your pets are happy to see you, right? That's what I love about going into the bank, right? You can have a bad day, walk into the bank. I'm just depositing my check, but you feel like a rock star when you're walking in. But no, I really enjoy doing business the old school way, and I understand that there are a lot of people in the county that don't have the ability, that don't want to use their phone, right? My dad, he has a cell phone, but he doesn't always want to utilize it, right? He's learning it, and he has the first Apple phone, I think, and it's all pixelated, and some of the videos he gets, they have like little, little boxes. However, but it's important to me that those people in the county that like Ivan has said before, they might not even have Wi-Fi at their home. They can't get Wi-Fi. Their cell phones, they don't use their cell phones like everyone else does. And the highlight of their day, guess what it is? To go to the post office.
Yes, or to come down to
come
the
to our
Santa Fe County
office.
offices. And going back to, what you said initially about building a team that's customer service oriented, that's, really like your basketball team, right? People love to come into your guys' offices. And whether you're elderly or maybe you just don't want to, you want to come in and see Ivan because it's going to make your day. And if you want to talk about protest season, what's coming up on your valuation, you guys have your staff ready and available to, to be there and with a smile on their face.
Yeah, and your office is constantly being praised for your customer service efforts.
Absolutely.
And I had a conversation with you, I think, on Friday about some changes you have for people that come into the office. The workflow just goes.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about that?
A little bit about that?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, our staff is amazing. The people that work there in our office at the front counter, people who are working protests, they actually it was asked to me the other day from the Home Builders Association. They said, what's the secret sauce at Santa Fe County? Because I feel like there you have a lot of the same people that have just stayed there, and I said, honestly, it comes down to the people, man. They just really love what they do, and they feel purpose in what they do. And when you're checking off those boxes, it's important. And that's what makes our office so special. But what I would say is, we have workflows, which now we're receiving all documents over the counter, and they're scanned into the system, and then from there they go to the individuals that work on the item. So if it's a protest, it's going to appraisal. If it's any kind of exemption, it's going to Lennon's team, and they're able to start working on these things and get everything updated to the system real time. So it's really efficient, and it's been an awesome thing that we've implemented. And that I have to give a shout out to Casey, our systems guy, because he's worked a lot on getting this together. So, yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I mean, a shout out to Lennon Armendariz as well. He worked with him on that in creating this, and Julia Martinez in implementing it as well, and making sure these things are running. All their staff, right? It's one thing to create a tool, but it's another thing to use a tool, right? And to make sure you're utilizing and maintaining the tool. We were talking about this morning is, us as leaders, we always put a big emphasis in creating something, but we hardly ever have a plan on maintaining. And I think we've had a great plan on maintaining the workflow for the front desk, and we're trying to create the workflow for a new workflow for protests and appeals. So, it really helps you in not losing documents, losing items, and making sure everything goes through the system and goes through each step, right? Sometimes you see items that you've worked on, and you're like, I wish it would have gone through this step, because if it would have went to this step, we would have had someone at QC to look at this item and make sure this was signed off correctly or this was reviewed. And I think that's I want to shout out to QC as well, because we reviewed, I think, about 20,000 20,000 accounts, right, in the down south, through the reappraisal to make sure that anything has changed or they have new buildings, anything like that. And QC, well, first shout out to the residential and all the appraisers to review those properties, as well as commercial. But then QC also had to review. I think they reviewed close to 30% of those accounts that were reviewed already, by the appraisers to make sure we're following the process and the procedures that we have within the office, and nothing really, slips through the cracks. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I think the county should implement that all over the place, but it sounds like it was quite the task to just get it started.
I think, again, now that I'm thinking about it with the workflow, one of the big items was comments, right? Is being able to have comments on every item through the workflow helps the process to continue on to the next step. And you're right, having some sort of vision that anything and everything that comes to your office or some sort of centralized office through the county and then is then directed and guided to the different offices, and things don't get slipped through, and documents can be attached, and people can be noted, and people can be emailed. I mean, it's a crazy world we live in. We're in the world of shorts, right, and reels, and I was watching this reel, and it was from the 1970s, and there was a little kid sitting down, and there was a guy, I want to say they're in Los Alamos, just say they were, I don't know if they were, where they had that huge computer, remember that? That was the size of a room. And the guy's telling the dad to the young kid, hey, just so you know, when he's an adult, he's going to have a computer the size of a desktop that's going to be on your desk. And it's going to guide you, and it's going to direct you, and it's going to keep you organized. And we're in that era right now, and we're living that benefit of many others' advancements. So.
Well, in regards to, providing dimensional customer service, where everything's online, somebody who's savvy, tell us a little bit more about, now that the deadline has shifted to May 1st, when is protest season? When does that start? How do people protest, for the constituents who may not be familiar?
I'm one of those guys that if you call me and I don't call you back, you might receive a phone call 2 weeks later. Sometimes, not all the time. Because I will call you back, but it's like, hey, bro, you called me 2 weeks ago. I'm calling you back. They're like, oh, yeah. But again, so we were talking about the tear-off earlier.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure people have the ability to sign up for the head of family, right? They're able to let us know there's been an address change. That's why we needed that tear-off, so they can walk it into their post office or walk it into our office. Or to one of these outreaches. I'll let Ivan talk about that.
Yeah, so every year we do outreaches in the community, and a lot of times it's going back to what Isaiah is saying. Not everybody does business online on the website. So what we like to do is take our technology out to the community, out to Chimayo, out to Santa Cruz, out to Edgewood, and take our staff with them and show them the things that we can provide in Santa Fe. I know that people coming into the office, that's great too, but some of these further locations, it's hard to get a ride all the way into Santa Fe. So we try to get out there every year during April. This year it'll be in May. So we do have a lot of outreaches, and we'll have all of that information on our website. But we do like to go out to the community just to make sure that we're reaching all of the demographics, not just the people who can use their smartphones and scan a QR code, to the people who are like to do things the old-fashioned way as well. So we do that.
And so the first one, it's a little early, but the first outreach is May 6th at the Powakis Satellite Office from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And as Mr. Berry mentioned, you can find the May outreach on the county website.
That's correct. Yeah, we'll have several in the month of May. But we will also be at the Home Builders Show in March 16th and 17th here in Santa Fe. So,
is the appraiser hunter gonna make an appearance? Just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know. Is he?
All right. So if you could share two stories, I'm thinking of two specific stories. One involves, I think, a squirrel, and the other one involves a horse.
Okay.
All right.
So, out there at home, what would you guys rather hear, the horse story or the squirrel story? I'm gonna choose the horse story because. The horse is, Okay, so I've done this before, but so our appraisers, we still go out on the field. especially for building permits, right? We want to make sure we get boots to the ground on new improvements, new homes. We still review. So 2 things. New improvements, usually boots to the ground, an actual person. The other thing is reappraisal, is usually us utilizing software, utilizing orthophotography to review the property from our desktop, which is even better, right? Because when we used to go out in the field, there's gates, there's fences, there's dogs, there's horses. There's horses. So back in the day when we had to review property, you'd run into multiple items, multiple scenarios, and I was brought into this industry with a gentleman by the name of Richard Lopez. And Richard Lopez, if you're out there, hello. I know you're probably cross-guarding someone today. That's what he does now. He's a retired grandpa, cross-guard, so that's awesome. That's something that I look to, and I'm like, man, I'd love to do that, right? But Richard Lopez, he brought me into this profession. He taught me so many things. And he told me this story that one day he went to a property, and I think this is a property in Glorieta, and he was walking the property with the owner, and it was for agricultural purposes, right? Agricultural purposes, for those who are out there, you want a special. Well, I went Barcelona on you there. Special method evaluation. You want a special method evaluation, meaning you're going to pay less because you're growing something for sustenance, and it's the ability of the land to grow something for sustenance. And New Mexico has decided to allow those to pay less in taxes if you're going to grow hay, you're going to grow livestock, things of that nature. So he was out there for a check, and he's out there with the gentleman, and he is an older gentleman. And as he's out there, he's talking to him. And Richard Lopez was real reserved, made a great artichoke dip, but was real reserved, real quiet, and just real calmado. He came from Nambe, so he's norte to the max,
humilde,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, as I was there, bro, he's like, the gentleman had a heart attack right there. And Richard, you never really saw him run much, right? He was always had the same pace all the time. And the guy he said, I just got up and I ran to try to get help. And as he was running, right, you don't expect these things to happen to you every day. As he's running, there was a horse out there running. And he says, as I was running, the horse caught up to me like nothing, he said. And the next thing you knew, he said, the horse bit me. It bit me on the arm. Poor Richard, quiet, is like running, trying to get help with a horse biting him. I mean, all that to say appraisers will do anything to get their job done right and help others. But, man, that was one crazy story of Richard Lopez out there getting help because the gentleman need help. And, there's so many other stories Richard would share with me, and him driving up a hill with someone up a hill, and we have our own vehicles now, and at that point he went with the gentleman, I don't know why, in his Jeep, and he said the next thing he knew they're going up the hill, and he was down on the bottom of the hill, and they fell down the hill.
My God.
But Richard Lopez was okay, right? He was like a superhero. And he said, bro, the next thing you know, we were on the bottom of the hill. And just these crazy stories. And all that to say, I'm grateful to have orthophotography where we don't have to go to a lot of these properties to review them. For agricultural purposes, we still go out to review to make sure that they're using it for that purpose. But that's one of the stories, man.
That's funny, man.
I love that.
No matter how many times I hear it, it's always funny.
Well, even the sheep and horses have standing to protest, so maybe that was his way of
something, right? Maybe the horse disagreed with its valuation or something like that.
He was mad.
What did you do to my owner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that's what it was.
Defensive.
But yeah, it was a very interesting story. But no, I've had as I think about and get all sentimental right now, right, with the office is, I've had 23 years in the office. I really enjoy working there. I really enjoy working with the people there. And I'm going to go Toretto on you, right? Fast and the Furious. And we really do believe we're a family there. And we believe that, we learn together, we fail together, we succeed together. And the office, we really feel when individuals aren't there any longer, right? Mm. And, we think of Herb Gerstner, who passed away. We always bring him up during COVID. And, when someone's missing, As Ivan says, when people leave, we know that work isn't going to get done, and we're going to have to carry a little more, but we also miss those individuals in our office.
Yeah.
We spend so much time with each other. We spend so much time living with people in our offices. You know, the best we can do is just reflect goodness, right? And reflect grace and reflect, you know, putting others before us. And I think that's what's hard. If I get down to what is hard and difficult about being a leader is, you know, if you really go in all the way and you go in all the way with your emotions and your feelings, then you're going to feel something, right?
Absolutely.
When someone's having a bad day, well, then I start to feel that, right?
Yeah.
When someone's angry about something, then I start to feel that. When you know, someone didn't get a fair shake because of something that's been done with what they get paid, or you know, the union contract or something, right? I mean, not to say that I disagree with it, but I mean, we have to be realistic and know that some people don't get considered, right, or aren't considered through things like that, and I really start to feel that, right? And we do everything we can to make sure that the people we work with get a fair shake, or they're being heard, right, at the end of the day. And the same way with the taxpayers. And you know, it's tough to hear these stories where, hey, you know, I was given this property and I don't know how or why, you know, our deed isn't right or our plat isn't right, and I feel bad for letting them know and telling them that, you know, well, legally right now, it's hard to decipher what portion is yours and what portion is your brother's. And
Right.
you know, a lot of times we are the bearer of bad news, to let them know that, you know, more work needs to be done on your ownership, and that's tough. And you know, it's hard to tell others that, hey, I know you just bought this property and you're going to pay more taxes, especially residential, than the person prior to you, because there is a law, right, that states that you're bumped to market value. It's hard to hear that people call and say, hey, my mortgage has gone up, and you know, because the taxes have gone up. Well, we at least let them know that, you know, this is what you can do. This is what we're able to do, and we're held, right, by statutes and laws to govern us and guide us, to direct us in what we do. So everybody out there, listen, if the one thing you get from this is, if you own property in Santa Fe County, you have 30 days to file a protest once you get your notice of value.
Yeah.
You're going to get your notice of value this year, May 1st. If you disagree with anything on the document, call us, email us, come on in, chat with us online. There are many ways. We'll be in your communities. Come speak to us. Let us know, because it is much easier to address these issues if you come during the appeal process, the protest process. After that, you have to file in district court once you've received your tax bill. And that's a little bit more difficult, because you actually have to pay a fee to do that.
Yeah.
So we're asking you again, Santa Fe County, look at your notice of value. It may say this is not a tax bill. However, it is just as important as your tax bill, because it'll derive the amount that you pay on your tax bill. So please, once again, look at your notice of value. Give me a call. Give us a call. Give Ivan a call. We'd love to speak to you.
All right, I think we're ready to close up here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for your time. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, Beyond County Lines with Daniel and Olivia.
Have a good day.